What's up, Breakthrough Success listeners? Mark Gabberty, the podcasting coach here, helping people launch, grow, monetize their podcasts. And if you want to monetize a podcast, it's because you probably have a business or you have something that you have a strong passion for. And with that comes the idea of growth, of expansion, of reaching as many people as you can, of putting in the extra hours, of putting in so much work to make all of this awesome stuff happen. And the issue with that is that we can get filled up with so much stress. And there is a right way to pursue goals, to achieve all the different things that you want to achieve. But if you do it in a stressed out way, then it's just a matter of time before you get burnt out. So our guest today is going to share with you how you can become a stress-free millionaire. Our guest today, is a high-performance success coach, wellness expert, motivational speaker, best-selling author, and founder of SanaView. Our guest is on a mission to inspire and teach you proven and effective ways to embrace a better life, a life that is richer, happier, healthier, and more fulfilling. Our guest who joins us for this episode of Breakthrough Success is none other than Janet McKee. Janet, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Mark. I am so thrilled to be here. I was looking forward to this all week.
Janet, I'm looking forward to doing this interview with you. I feel like there's so many good tidbits we could jump into. I mean, stress-free millionaire, I feel like that's something that so many people want. I mean, there are a lot of people who want to become a millionaire who doesn't, but the path a lot of people take to getting to that seven-figure status is one filled with a lot of stress. So can you share with us a little bit of the differences between a millionaire who is filled with stress and a millionaire who is stress-free? Like, what's the difference between those two?
Excellent question. And actually what I found is you accomplish those greater levels of success, and actually not even just in your professional life, in your personal life too, when you learn how to dissolve stress, because stress and struggle just puts up walls that block you from opportunities, possibilities, solutions, wonderful people and situations from flowing into your life. So the people that do achieve success through incredible stress, first of all, create all kinds of issues in their lives, their health, their well-being. They become burned out. They can't even completely enjoy the success that they've had because they've stressed and struggled so much. Their relationships are often destroyed. And I have a whole story in my own situation about that. But they don't even know, Mark, actually the success they could have achieved if they did it with less stress. The problem is people don't know how to do that, right? We hear a lot about positive thinking and positive mindset. And when you're really struggling, especially with a challenge, you can't just think positively, and that's just a bunch of bull, because people are like, do not tell me to just think positively and that's going to solve my problem. I can't right now. So that's the issue. Happiness and calmness is elusive for many, especially when they are really striving for success. So the difference is a truly healthy, happy, fulfilled, successful professional versus one that's hitting the wall because they're burned out and their relationships are crumbling, their health is crumbling, everything. And what does that leave you? Really, you want to be able to enjoy your success. And the more you open up and enjoy and appreciate each moment of your life as you strive for greater levels of success, the more awesome life becomes. And then the more things come to you. It's kind of like an athlete being in the zone, right? When that athlete is in the zone, they're scoring, they're accomplishing, they're winning. We're talking about getting into the zone of your life. It's so much more exciting, just so much more fulfilling.
I love the idea, get in the zone of your life, because so many of us, we just do things without really thinking about where all of it is leading. And if you really tap into your zone, you get a lot more conscious of like the different steps and actions you're taking. Are they really leading you to where you want to go? And I would like to get into your story, Jen. I know a little bit about it. I know you were a former Fortune 500 executive. So really, for a lot of people, that could be their dream job. But some people could see it as like the pinnacle of success, depending on, how people view success. But I also know, and listeners are going to hear more about this, how Janet nearly died from all of that burnout. So I'm wondering if you could share with us a little bit about how you got yourself into that situation of burnout. We'll talk about getting out of it, but can you first build up like how all of it led up to the burnout?
Absolutely. Because it's our life lessons, right? Our challenges that when we learn to overcome them, that's how we grow. That's how we gain wisdom. And a lot of people, believe me, I understand. You're thinking about success. You're thinking about making as much money as you can. You're thinking about climbing that ladder. You don't care about the stress, actually. You're glad to take on the stress because all you can think about is achieving. And I understand that. But you have to understand two things. One, what happens when you take on all that stress? And number two, how that actually limits your success. And if you understand that it stops you from actually achieving success, then maybe you'll listen to what I have to say. But yes, I worked actually through 3 different Fortune 500 companies. And the last one at a very high level position, extremely successful, with Oracle Corporation. This was decades ago. I know probably more years than you might be of age, but
nice. Yeah.
I was on fire. I was a high achiever. I mean, back then, the last year I was there, I sold over 20 million of software and services and made almost $500,000. And this was 20 years ago. So you can imagine this.
Inflation.
I mean, I was a high achiever. Yes. But because of all the pressure and stress, I hit rock bottom. I became diagnosed with a completely debilitating autoimmune disease. I landed in the hospital and I couldn't eat. I had internal bleeding that wouldn't stop. The doctors, I couldn't even walk, Mark. And I was a young, athletic, aggressive career woman before this. And the doctors came to me and they said, Janet, we don't know what to do for you. We don't really think there is a solution other than we can try to give you this medication that has a 15% chance of causing cancer, or we can start removing your organs. They literally were going to remove some of my organs that were having the problem. I didn't know anything about health and wellness, but something came over me and I said, no, I'm not going to do either of that. So I got myself out of the hospital and I began to pursue solutions. And let me tell you, at the level I am now with my age and so forth, 54 years old, I have no illness whatsoever, no medication whatsoever. And decades ago, the doctors were about to give up on me. So if it wasn't for me hitting the wall from the stress and the struggling, and becoming completely burned out and destroying my health, would I ever have learned what I know today about being healthy and vibrant? But that wasn't the end of the story for me. Because I left the corporate world, went to Columbia University, studied holistic health and wellness. And I've been helping people for decades. Then husband of 26 years walked out on me in an hour's notice, me and my son, who's now 22. And left us not only heartbroken, the family part. So all of this, right, focus on my career and stress and struggle was diminishing my marriage. I didn't realize it. And he left at a point where the business that he was running was failing, and his business had liens on all of these investment properties I had developed while raising our son, and his business was failing. So it left me in the brink of financial disaster. So Mark, I hit it all in my life. Health challenges, relationship challenges, marriage dissolving, brink of financial disaster. That's what led me out around the world to find answers for my life. And I studied with world masters on success, achievement, abundance, positivity. And each one was like this delicious morsel that I would taste and savor, and it would help me a little bit, but I still kept feeling stuck and frustrated that I wasn't getting to the level that I knew was possible for me, because I used to be a vibrant, successful, right, positive woman. It wasn't until I started to put it all together and this specific methodology that it became clear to me. And ever since I did that, I've like opened myself up. I no longer deal with stress. I'm no longer struggling to achieve. Now I'm in that flow and things are landing in my lap that I would have never expected. I mean, 2 years ago, I got invited to contribute to a book with a major best-selling author, Brian Tracy. He's like a business legend of success. Like in my generation, it was like, wow, Brian Tracy asked me to contribute to his book. It became a bestseller. Jack Canfield, who's a multi-million best-selling author, invited me to Hollywood to be interviewed. I didn't pursue these things. These things came to me. And that happens when you learn to live this way. As a matter of fact, more recently, ExecuNet, which is an online network of C-level executives, they have 800,000 C-level executives, pursued me to teach them these concepts in master classes online for the organization. I didn't pursue them. They found me. So can you imagine now, right? The difference between killing myself literally to achieve success to now opening myself up to be in this new place of positive energy and allow success to flow. It's like two different worlds.
I mean, that's a very powerful story. A few things I definitely want to point out. There are certainly people who are making $500,000, $1 million who are living very happy, stress-free lives, but it's about how you get that money, what kind of hours you have to work that determine, like, are you going to be stressed out or not? And in Janet's case, I mean, who doesn't want to make $500,000 per year? But I mean, if that comes at a cost of deciding, do you want a 15% chance of getting cancer or organs taken out of your body? I don't think anyone wants that $500,000. I mean, just the thought of that really paints a bad picture just of like money is important. It gives you more choices, but you don't want to make money at the cost of this mentality where win at all costs. That's something where, you don't want to win at all costs. You want to be able, there are certain things you should be able to keep, like your health, your family, and different things like that, where, if you go really high up the corporate ladder, it may be harder for you to keep those things. And even if you're an entrepreneur, like you don't have a job, like depending on how many ventures you pursue, like, you don't want to try to win at all costs because, those costs can be really high. I'm wondering how you were able to make the comeback though, because right now you're like helping a lot of people. I mean, Brian Tracy, Jack Canfield, I mean, that stuff is really incredible. So, I mean, how do you make that comeback?
Okay, excellent question. But let me just mention something. You said a very key thing. You don't want to succeed at all costs. But there's something very important, because a lot of people right now are thinking, oh, yes, I want to kill myself to succeed because the most important thing for me is to succeed. The key thing that I want to make sure we address today is it's actually when you experience stress, it's hazardous to your success. And it's less stress that will get you to greater success. And this is what's key. But how did I make that comeback? I often ask that question myself. When I was in the hospital, literally almost dying, what came over me that said no to the doctor and got myself out? What was it that after being completely ripped apart by my husband leaving, both emotionally and financially, what was it that got me to the turning point where I said, okay, I want none of this. I am a bright, successful, positive woman. How do I find that? And I tell you, Mark, what it is a power that we all have within us. Each and every one of us has the power to create our lives. And that is what I explain in we have to rely on what our boss does, what our clients or customers do, economy does, what the government does, right? We think that all of these things are outside of us and out of our control and that they impact our success. That is not true. Everything you need is within you. And the ability to create the life that you want which is extreme success and happiness and fulfillment and good health and great relationships, is absolutely within your power. As a matter of fact, we did research for about 20 years on the world's most accomplished people. And we found that these people are not just accomplished in business. They know that having great relationships helps them in their business, right? You know how you have an issue with one part of your life, other parts of your life are affected. They know that wellness is absolutely critical. They take good care of themselves. When you look at the truly happy and healthy, successful people of the world, you look at them and they're like, wow, they almost glow with positivity and excitement. And that is true success.
Yeah, I mean, it's just really insightful to just think about those things that, like, what is it that really matters to you? I mean, sometimes like we go after money, we put it on a pedestal, or like we put one thing on a pedestal and we can really get blinded. And I mean, at that, like to be able to say no to like, you know, like getting out of the hospital, getting out of that situation and just really taking the initiative. Like one of the things we will always have is control. No matter what kind of a situation comes our way, we control the outcome. We can walk out. We can, you know, in Janet's case, she decided to reinvent herself. She decided to go on this journey now, helping other people become stress-free millionaires and really being able to have that comeback. One of the things that people do have, though, are regrets. So, I mean, I'm wondering what your thoughts are, because some people say like, you know, if something like that happened to them, or it's like, I lost time here, and it really weighs on them that, you know, I could have had like 3 months back. This took 3 months, this whole procedure, whatever. And does any of that stuff from the past like weigh on you? And like, how do we get that chip off our shoulder?
Wow, that is such a brilliant question. Very intuitive, very insightful question, Mark. I am like really impressed with that, because a lot of people aren't thinking about those, or not aware of those things that do harm our thinking and harm our energy. And that is exactly what I want to get into here from that question. We all have things from our past that we regret, that we wish was different. A lot of us have things from our past that we're angry about, we're shameful about. We all do. And you hear so often, you can't change the past. I'm here to tell you, you can completely change the past when you change the way you view those things from your past. And this is, I just talked about the power we all have within us. What we have within us is the power to choose our thoughts, to choose our attitude about something, to choose really the way we look at things, because the way we look at something, we can either label it bad or label it good, right? That's a label that we put on based on our mental programming. But those that are successful know that they can change that label, that they can view things differently. And it's all through the power of your thoughts. And we hear about that, the mindset. But I'm going to teach you something far deeper than that. And that is taking those thoughts and creating the feeling that those thoughts create within you, which generates an energy. So let me explain that. I can look at my past and say, wow, that was so horrible that I ended up in the hospital. And it's just dreadful what I had to go through. And those doctors were so awful to me. They were going to remove my organs, right? And I could be angry at them and bitter at them, and right? But what does happen when you're angry at somebody from your past? I could be angry at my ex-husband, right? What that does, it doesn't hurt them. It hurts you. Because what does it feel like to be angry? What does it feel like to feel guilty or shameful? What does it feel like to be frustrated or the feeling of regret? It doesn't feel good. And it's the feeling that creates an energy that creates your life. I will get clearer on this as I go forward, but I'm introducing you to a topic. So I look back on the doctor that told me there was no hope for me, and I'm now grateful for him. I have compassion that he didn't know better at the time, and I'm actually thankful for that situation, because if it wasn't for him telling me things that were scary, I may not have had that turning point where I said no. And I took that power within me, even though I was weak and debilitated, there was some power within me that you can never take away that fueled me to find solutions. Okay. So now I look at my past with incredible gratitude and appreciation. I look at my husband, and I could be, and I was for a while, trust me, angry, heartbroken, upset, miserable, fearful over finances. I now look back at that and say, that was the best thing that ever happened to me. Because if it wasn't for that, I would have never been at this turning point of my life to go out and discover what I know now and what I'm doing for other people. So what have I done? I've taken my past and changed it. Now my past is an amazing group of gifts that were handed to me almost on a silver platter, right? They're not things to regret. That's how I learned. That's how I grew. So you change the past by changing your attitude about the past. And never is anything a mistake. Never. Because every time you think you failed, every time you tripped up or did something that you feel bad about, it only added to who you are today, which is a wiser, stronger person. Each one of those things, we all make mistakes. We all make mistakes. You've heard happening to some of the most successful people, right? People being told that they were failures. Oprah was told she wasn't even fit for television in a previous position, right? And then, so she found her turning point. Does that make sense? So your past, it happened. You got to accept it. So here's what we're going to look at. Look at things in terms of a ladder. And regret, shame, guilt, fear, anger, those are kind of low rungs on a ladder. And those don't feel good, right? Peace, love, joy, fulfillment, success, those are high rungs of the ladder. And those feel awesome. The key here is to not think that something that happened in your past that is very upsetting, that you're just going to be able to think positive and jump to the top rung of the ladder. If you were to go from a low rung and jump to the top rung, what's going to happen? You're going to fall off that ladder and break your leg, right? What you've got to do is just begin to massage your thoughts. And this is where all of that power is within you. You are choosing your thoughts. And you can, the world's most accomplished people do this. They look at and they're aware of their thoughts. And they're aware of what that thought creates in them in terms of a feeling and an energy. And when they feel an uncomfortable feeling, which means there's a negative energy that's tugging on them, they then look at their thought and say, what thought am I thinking that's giving me this uncomfortable feeling? Like regret, for example. And they begin to make a shift. They're like, okay, that happened in the past. I accept it. It's over. Getting to acceptance is one rung up the. And then you say, okay, I learned from that. What did I learn from that I'm benefiting from? That's actually a good thing. You're up another rung of the ladder. The idea here is to always be aware of how you're feeling because that's your energy vibration. And the energy vibration is what affects your life around you. And if you're always aware of how you feel, you then can be aware of what thought is creating that feeling. And that's what you begin to shift and change little by little. The world's most accomplished people have learned how to preemptively keep themselves at those higher level feelings and thoughts. That's being in the zone. They preemptively, continuously work to be at those greater levels so that when a challenge arises or when an old thought reoccurs, like I regret something that happened in the past, they are better able to quickly get themselves back up that ladder. Am I answering your question?
Yeah, I mean, I do feel like when it comes to regrets and stuff, it is, it hits you really hard. And we're not trying to say that after listening to this episode, you should not have any more regrets. You should part with all grudges you may have. It's something that takes little by little. I love that ladder example. One thing I do want to ask you though, now this is going to be a question where you already know the answer to it. And I feel like everyone listening already knows the answer to it, but it's worth asking because it'll light bulb for a lot of people. So Janet mentioned how she was very fearful about her finances after everything went down. And at some earlier time, I mean, some of it kind of crisscrosses, like some of it's at the same time, but she was also fearful for health where, she has the burnout and all this stuff is happening to her. Would you rather have the fear of like your finances blowing up, or would you rather have the fear of your health deteriorating?
Oh, wow. That's a very difficult question because let's talk about fear.
Okay.
I have an entire chapter in my book called Freedom from Fear. And either one of those fears are extremely uncomfortable. The key here is to recognize which fear do you feel hopeless about. So if somebody looks at their health and they feel there is no hope, hopelessness is actually a very low vibration energy that's even lower than anger or regret or guilt. Because when you're hopeless, there's nothing left. There's nothing left inside of you to find a solution. If you look at your finances and feel hopeless and you blame everything else around you and you just, your parents were poor and your uncle was poor and your neighborhood is poor and nobody in my whatever can make any money, and you have this hopeless belief, that's dangerous. So it doesn't matter where the source of the fear comes from. What matters is actually that you do experience some fear. Let me explain. Because in my book, I say, I want you to dissolve fear. I want you to get freedom from fear. And I'll explain that. But fear, in a way, okay, so let's say I was so afraid. I was afraid of my health. That fear actually fueled me to find a solution that was better than hopelessness. You see what I mean? Like on the ladder, okay? When I was fearful as I faced the brink of financial disaster, it fueled me because I wasn't hopeless. It fueled me to find a solution. We call that actually in high performance necessity. Necessity can be a very powerful thing. It can fuel you forward, which is brilliant. It's like when you go to catch a flight, right? You have to pack your bags, get in the car, get to the airport, park your car, get in through security before the flight takes off. There's necessity to get that done on time, right? Well, in life, we have some things. I was raising my son. I became then a single mom after my husband left. I had to keep the roof over our head. I had to pay the bills. So the fear was met with necessity, and that drove me to find solutions. That is a really good thing. But let me tell you about fear. You hear out there, feel the fear and do it anyway. And I completely disagree. Let me explain. So you want to start and you want to get online and you want to start posting stuff on social media or whatever. That's what you're expert in. That's what you teach people, right? But you are so fearful and you're saying to yourself, this is going to be awful. I'm going to fail at it. Everybody's going to hate me. This is never going to work. Do not move forward because you're moving forward from a negative energy perspective. Since when does a successful entrepreneur achieve success through feelings and beliefs that it's never going to work, that it's going to be a disaster, that nobody's going to like me, nobody's going to listen to me, right? Nobody's going to want my product. It's never going to work. But what we do is we take that fear, I'm fearful that nobody's going to buy this product, that I'm going to fail. And let's look at it. It's fear. Other than when a tiger is attacking you, that's real fear, and that's a good thing because you got to run or fight for your life. Most fear, Mark, is a perceived threat. It is something we imagine. And guess what we imagine what that is a thought. And guess what can be changed? A thought, a belief. So most fear is irrational, fake. It's perceived, it's imagined. And that's so fabulous because what am I teaching you here today is that you have the power over your thoughts. So if fear is mostly just a thought, a limiting belief, you can begin to climb the ladder and begin to shift it and say, okay, wait a minute. I'm excited about this product. I'm excited about this information that I want to share. I know that I'm a person and that I'm a bright person. And I've shared some of this with some people that have actually liked what I have to offer. And other people that have been entrepreneurs or business owners or in the corporations, they started where I started at the beginning and they succeeded. So maybe it is possible for me. Do you see what I'm saying? I'm climbing the ladder from fear to a higher vibration place that gives me hope, that gives me inspiration, that gives me ambition versus hopelessness. So there's so many ways. And if you are really listening to what I'm saying, everything comes back to the energy that you give off. So if fear is fueling you in a little bit of a positive way, it's a good thing. If it's fear is holding you back and you think you're so sure you're going to fail, then hold off and don't move forward until you get to a better feeling place.
Janet, what an amazing answer. I mean, here I was thinking, oh, we're going to talk about how like health or finances is better, like one over the other. But I mean, like when you think about fear, so a little bit of it is good, but there's a lot of people like, you know, if you feel hopeless about something, like that's the, that's, you know, like you can't really advance, and just having that little fear to give you the fuel can ignite you, can go make you go from hopeless to like, okay, let me figure this out. Let me try. And then you feel hopeful and then you get it done. So really love that answer. Really love all the insights you've shared throughout our time together. I know a link to Stress-Free Millionaire. We'll link to your site, janetmckee.com. But I mean, such a pleasure having you on the show. For people who want to learn more about you, I know I gave some stuff which will be in the show notes, but where are some other good places we could find your work?
I really want, you just mentioned, to encourage people to go to stressfreemillionaire.com because I created that just for you for this show, because on that site, I'm going to give them more information to support them and what they began to learn today. And it's all complimentary as a thank you for joining us here on the show today, and to thank you, Mark, and to thank all your viewers for participating in this call. So stressfreemillionaire.com would be the best place to get those things. But also, you mentioned janetmckee.com. I've got all kinds of things on there. I've got videos and blogs and just continuing to support people in learning this information. But that's actually a page on my company page, which is SanaView.com. And Sana, S-A-N-A, is Latin for health and wellness. And I share a view, I give you a view into how to live a richer, happier, healthier, more successful, more vibrant life. So that's my general company that I run. We even have an organic farm as part of the whole idea of getting back to the rhythms of Mother Nature. As I told you, like, wellness is a foundation for all of this. But for the call tonight, for the podcast, please do go to stressfreemillionaire.com, because I'm just going to give you a lot of things. And then we'll follow up with you for additional information if you would like. Also, I do have a Janet McKee fan, public figure Facebook page where I share daily inspirations and things like that.
Well, we'll include all those resources in the show notes. But once again, Janet, thank you so much for coming on Breakthrough Success. It was such a pleasure having you on the show.
It was a blast being here, giving me, Mark, the opportunity to share these ideas. And your questions were the most brilliant I have yet to be asked to date. I have to tell you that.
Thank you.
Best.